Hey guys, first Regardsman here. Today I'll be talking about the patch 9.0 quality of life update for Space Marine 2. Now, we've been waiting for this for a while, and I was really excited for this because balancing in this game has been in a weird spot for a bit, especially with the weapons and things like that. And they did address that in this update. Some of the changes are really good, some of them are super mind-boggling, but we're going to go through all of them, starting here with the Data Vault update. New ordeals for Siege mode, a new Data Vault reward screen, and a new Entity Trigon in the Tyrannus tab in the Data Vault. The big change here is new ordeals for Siege mode. This might mean you can get all the unlocks for ordeals by actually just playing the PvE, which would be pretty cool, or like only a few PvP missions, and more ordeal options and more ways for players to get the unlocks. It's never a bad thing. It's definitely a good update there. Next we have gameplay and balancing tweaks, and the only thing here is assault ground pound damage. The chain sword and power sword ground pound damage has been increased to match the power fist and thunderhammer ones. So that is a straight buff, not a bad thing. It's kind of weird here that the games director says this change was made because of all of the one-shot builds implying having a Thunderhammer or a Power Fist exclusively. I mean, this is just not true at all. The Power Sword could one-shot already, and it sounds like they don't even play their own game, but, you know, that's just what they did here, I guess, and that was their reasoning, but hey, buff is a buff. Next thing here is the PvE melee weapons. They said here that with this update, we want to rework all the melee weapon versions. The stats distribution was too complex between different tiers and wasn't following the same rule set as firearms, where relic tier weapons are strictly better than artificer ones. Now, I know a lot of people say they want like relic to always be better. I don't think this matters at all. If you had all artificer weapons and all relic tier weapons be good in their own way and have different stat distributions, that just means that you have more options in the game. That's always a good thing. So I don't really know why they want to do this, but they do have a tier system. It is harder to get relic tier, so I mean, I guess that's just what they want to do. This is a massive overhaul, and a lot of popular versions may become less effective than they used to be, and vice versa. We're going to make another pass at this if necessary. Trust me, guys, it will be necessary. We'll get into that, but we think that we need to do a cleanup here first to move forward. So here they said the new like philosophy they have is that balanced weapons have moderate damage and moderate speed. And guys, when they say moderate speed, the moderate speed they're talking about is faster than fencing weapons it used to be, or even like the fastest version. So it's a huge buff for balanced weapons. Same thing here with fencing weapons. They now offer the fastest speed but have the lowest damage. The speed increase is insane, and the damage they do is buffed tremendously regardless. Very strong for sure. These two are definitely the best option, and block weapons are the slowest but deliver the highest damage. So block weapons got slapped in this update, except for the block power fist that can't stop winning, because they now all have like a 1 or 2 speed, which is abysmal in this game. Speed is so important in Space Marine 2, and block weapons, they don't have to have the fastest speed, but they should be able to like properly hit things without having to wait like 5 business days, which they cannot do anymore. Things like the block chain sword, block power sword feel awful. The balance and fencing ones are definitely the ways to go for that again, and balance especially won in this patch because balance weapon stat distribution is kind of nuts. I did go in game to check these. Very, very strong options for sure. And as far as block weapons go, block Thunderhammer, block power fist would probably be the best overall. And for the PvE firearm weapons changes, they did say our stats show that all of the firearms balance is in a good spot right now, and all weapons are absolute viable. I don't like it when they say things like this, because just because a weapon is used on absolute and it's shown in your stats doesn't mean it's actually good. You don't actually know what is killing players. You have to actually play the game and watch gameplay footage to see where a weapon struggles and why. So just basing things off a spreadsheet is really silly, and give it based on some of the other comments they posted. It does sound like they don't really play their own game. They just like balance this game off a spreadsheet, but I digress. Point is, they are buffing some individual weapon types, mainly like the firepower, venting speed, and stuff like that. But I do want to say that I'm not going to read through all of these, but things like the heavy plasma did get their venting speed buffed. Plasma pistol also has a better rate of fire on its rate of fire variant, I believe. Very strong options. I will make individual videos on the best versions for these at some point, but for now, just know a lot of the weapons are in a better spot now. Now, down here, we have class perk updates, Assault perk update, and Wind Fury. This perk has been reworked. The new version is the damage from melee attacks executed while sprinting or dashing increases by 100%, deals area of effect within a 7-meter radius, cooldown is 5 seconds. Okay, so this is pretty much them just changing the initial perk to be like the perk for Bulwark on his pommel smash. Not a terrible idea. They say, note the AoE is not working properly on this perk. This will be fixed in the next patch. Oh, wait, so they went live with this perk and then didn't actually have the area of effect be functional. That's so silly. I don't know why they would like post this and then post in the patch notes it's not working. But anyways, they say next year, defense mechanism. This perk has been reworked. The new version is contested health fades 50% more slowly. This is an incredible change. They seem to understand that the contested HP is the worst part of the assault perks in general. They say here, active attrition, damage increased from 10 to 15%. Definitely a good buff. Might make it worth using over things like knowledge of the enemy. Smiting Angel damage is increased by 10 to 25%. This is a huge buff because Smiting Angel was way worse than Precision Strike for a while. And here they have Hammer of Wrath. The perk has been reworked. The new version is, after using the jump pack, you take 30% less range damage, do not lose control upon taking heavy hits, and cannot be knocked back for 15 seconds. That is huge. Hammer of Wrath might actually be worth taking now. That is an incredible buff for sure. 30% less range damage after a jump pack is enormous. That's pretty good. Okay, I gotta say, I'll probably play some Assault at some point here coming up shortly. Here they have heavy perk updates. Thermal boost. The perk has been reworked. The new version is when a ranged weapon is 50% overheated or you have 50% ammo in magazine. Range damage increases by 15%. That's just a straight buff because heavy cannot stop winning. So that's pretty cool for sure. Firearms PvE only. Auxiliary grenade launcher. Increase the amount of grenades received from the grenade launcher from pickups from 50% to 75%. I mean, that's a good buff, but I really feel like the grenade launcher should just get more off of Emperor's Vengeance. Make it like 2 or 3 grenades, because really the grenade launcher is not broken in the game at all, because even with the bolt rifle buffs they did above, it's still like one of the worst weapons in the game. So just give it more back on the Emperor's Vengeance, in my opinion. As for the Inferno pistol here, base damage increased by 15%, gun strike damage increased by 20%. I don't know what the math comes out to on this, but it's probably still the worst gun strike damage in the game. And maybe the base damage increase will feel good. Gun strike damage and knockback radius increased by 100%. Oh, okay. You know what? Maybe that is good because like a buff on top of like the base of it. So I'll probably try this out again. If it's the overall highest now, that's a pretty good option for sure. That could be pretty fun. They said fix a typo in motivated melee perk description. The perk triggers if the magazine is empty, not when your ammo reserves are empty. Well, I would have liked to know that at some point in the past. I didn't even know that was a thing, but now we know. That's actually pretty good. Actually shockingly good. They say here we want to make the Inferno pistol as a dedicated crowd control weapon rather than a gun strike damage dealer type of a weapon, because heavy bolt pistol already fills this niche. That being said, that niche is currently too specific and we want to make sure the Inferno pistol performs well enough outside of it. It's an Inferno pistol. It's basically a pocket melta. It should have the best gun strike damage. It has a horrible radius. You know what? If you don't want your sidearms to be gun strike dependent, guess what? Don't make it so your game is so gun strike dependent, especially when you like basically make the speed of blocking weapons horrendous and everybody's using fencing and balance. Gun strikes are such a core part of this game that any weapon that has a bad gun strike damage is going to be like B or C tier, period. That's just how the game works. Bolt pistol gun strike damage increased by 25%. Congratulations, it still sucks. Neo Volkite pistol contested health recovery has been greatly increased and is now in line with other pistols. Hold up, chat. Wait, there's no chat here. We're not streaming. Hold up, guys. This is amazing. Contested health recovery has always been the biggest issue on the Neo Volkite pistol. This weapon might actually be amazing now. This weapon is actually really, really good. Undervalued for sure. Pretty good boss damage, pretty good AoE, amazing at clearing out spore mines and other things like cultists. Super strong for that reason. I'm going to take this out for another swing. I'll probably make some Neo Volkite builds because the CHP recovery was always the worst part, but they made it in line with other pistols. That's pretty nuts. Combat quality of life. They have added an anti-stunlock heavy hit diminishing feature. If a player receives multiple heavy hits in quick succession, the duration of the next heavy hit will be reduced by 80%, and the duration of the third and subsequent heavy hits will be reduced by 60%. Thank God, because things like triple hell roots were absolutely diabolical in their stunlocks. Things like the stunlocks off the lictors and stuff like that. Things like stunlocks off of even just sword warriors. How obnoxious. They've also made assault and now invulnerable during his ground pound landed animation. Very good for sure. This actually saved your life at times. These are great changes here for the combat quality of knife. This is huge. I said assault class has received multiple buffs this patch. I want to talk about it a bit more. We heard your feedback regarding the assault class being too weak, and we agree, but to a point. The amount of effort it takes to play it right doesn't outweigh the benefits, which shouldn't be the case. However, the assault class can one-shot most enemies on the hardest difficulty. This doesn't mean shit, because like soaking a heavy plasma and it takes like 0 effort. It already is already very strong against Tyranids, so is every class. Yet against Chaos, it struggles a lot, so we think the problem isn't in the Assault kit itself, it's the Chaos army composition that will be changed soon. Okay, so they're going to be changing like the actual composition of Chaos. But no, the issue is that Assault's survivability is ass and CHP regen is bad in this game. They did try to fix that a little bit in this patch, but they clearly don't know what the fuck is wrong with Assault, and I doubt these guys actually play Assault class at a high level whatsoever, but that seems to be the case with a lot of game devs these days. Fixed several issues, power storage stance changing during certain animations. Oh, they did fix the, this is them fixing the lunging attack, so that's good. Charge progress of the Plasma Incinerator will no longer reset when Heavy enters Heavy stance. All right, lots of minor improvements for general responsiveness of controls in combat. All right, I don't really know what that means, but hopefully it means that it feels better. Siege mode. The Siege mode shop balance tweak. Guardian Relic cost reduced from 300 to 200. That is a huge buff. I'm kind of shocked they did this. Armor kit cost reduced from 60 to 30. That is also an enormous buff. Dreadnought cost reduced from 1500 to 1250 here. That is very good. And Guardsman cost reduced. Nobody cares. Guardsmen still suck. Increased Guardsman HP and damage. Still garbage. 100% for hard difficulty. Oh, they have double HP and double damage. Wow. Well, what's 0 plus 0? It means nothing. It's terrible. Is the main point. Okay. Oops. Let me go back in here. The point is, Guardsmen still suck, guys. Dreadnought might be worth buying at times. Guardian Relics will be easier to buy, so you can actually be a little more frivolous with that. Armor kits were already very strong and keeping you alive during boss fights. Super undervalued. So these are good changes here. These three. The Guardsmen will always be shit. You should just never buy these. They are a terrible, terrible thing. They will always die too quickly on the highest waves of siege, and there's a waste of points. That's the main thing. I'm gonna say Dreadnought time increased from 3 to 5 minutes. That is huge. Streamline the terminus enemy spawns logic after the 16th wave. Every third wave can spawn 1 to 2 terminus enemies, and every 5th wave can spawn 2 to 3. I feel like they should keep it 3 because 3 is like the whole fun part of this game, in my opinion. They said previous logic used to be too complex and depend on a sector, sometimes causing 30 plus waves easier than 20 plus waves. That is not even remotely true as far as like the damage reduction goes. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about because I've played wave 30 plus. I'd say like maybe 1% of this game's player base has ever played past 30 plus on hard mode siege. So I mean, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about there, to be honest. Like, oh, it's easier. 30 plus was like almost always harder because you're just hurting for supplies at that point. They said fix multiple issues with the enemy spawns, fix multiple issues with enemies getting stuck at their spawns. Thank God. There was like one really obnoxious sorcerer spot in particular that was very bad for this. Fixed multiple issues with not being able to progress to the next sector. Thank God for that. Fixed a lot of minor issues. Yeah, completing waves as Assault class now unlock Inferno pistol skins. Okay, that's cool. PvP, don't care, but we're gonna read it anyways. Tactical combat knife, plasma pistol, and heavy bolt pistol have been an extended list of available weapons. The Assault has the power sword and plasma pistol now. Sniper, instigator bolt carbine, heavy bolt pistols. Okay, so just add some weapons. Change the PvP progression a little bit for the XP and levels added and things like that. All right, AI. Fixing Neurothrope dealing too much damage with his beam attack in some rare cases. I have experienced this where it's just like one-shot me almost. That's pretty crazy. Fix the Lictor can spawn invulnerable in some rare cases. There was a very tragic event that I encountered this, so thank God they fixed that. Thank God they looked into that for sure. Cultist Sniper fixing twice in some rare cases. Lots of minor animation fixes for various enemies. All right, that's pretty good. But then firing twice. I have noticed this. I was very confused, but thank God they changed that as well. Customization. Reverted the fix and made it possible to put a decal under the geometry of the knee pads. Lots of other minor fixes for customization of armor parts and emblems. General fixes. Fix the gunstrike prompt may not appear after a perfect parry in some rare cases. I've definitely experienced this. That was very good. Fix the battle focus perk not being triggered by perfect block or perfect parry in some rare cases. Fix that blocking weapons do not apply the increased damage taken after parry debuff at enemies in some cases. This was broken in the PTS and they carried it into patch 8.0 and that was finally fixed, thank God. The visual effects of explosions and smoke displayed to players in the form of large orbs in some rare cases. I have seen this as well. The bots displayed on the loading screen do not match the bots appear on the stage. I don't really care about that. Sub PV private lobby fixes, minor UI localization. This is probably them fixing the Spanish Marine. Tech. Crash fixes and general stability improvements, matchmaking and network stability fixes. Unfortunately, this patch does not have a fix for the top one server crash that plays our community in siege mode right now. This has been a very difficult problem to identify for us. We've been working on solutions since patch 8.1 and are going to continue to work on the fix and deploy it as soon as possible. I imagine they're talking about the N2 error. All right, guys, but that is pretty much all there is to this. They said improvements to the game modding capabilities and minor performance stuff, but that is pretty much the patch notes for patch 9.0. For the most part, it's really good. The melee weapons definitely got the biggest buff in this patch. I will talk more about the actual weapon variety at some point for some individual builds, because these are very weapon specific or like firepower variant venting stuff, so I'm not going to read through all of them, and some of them are just like the master crafted. But the point is, all the weapons are in a better spot for the most part. Block weapons kind of got slapped by this. The block power fist does stupid damage now, and it was always like the best at 1 speed, so it doesn't really get hurt at all. But the other ones are definitely in need of like a little bit of a rework again. But that's pretty much all I have to say on this one, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the patch 9.0 buffs. It seems like Assault is in a better spot now for sure. I will be taking him to Absolute and Siege mode at some point here. And as always, take it easy. Subscribe for more if you like content like this. Have a good one. Bye.